Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by Joe. Joe, how are you tonight?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Doing great. We are back and better than ever. Just looking forward to another week of wrestling. A lot to talk about. The build up to the Royal Rumble they are in full swing. You might as well say the road to WrestleMania has started. And yeah, a lot going on there. A lot going on in AEW with Kenny Omega, the AEW champion. I kind of wondering if they're starting to build some kind of rivalry between him and the Young Bucks. It almost seems. Like it was supposed to be Omega and the Young Bucks teaming up in a 6-man tag on AEW this past week. It ended up being the Good Brothers teaming with Kenny. And
Really?
yeah, a slight swerve. And then a big brawl breaks out at the end. The Young Bucks come down to try to play Peacekeeper. And it didn't go well. Some teams trying to then come at the Young Bucks. And Kenny Omega slips out the back door. Really, well, he's doing a really good job playing the heel. And especially the, almost anti-company heel.
I thought the Young Bucks were with Kenny Omega because I saw.
Right, and that's the impression they left as of last AEW Dynamite.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, in the last night's episode, it kind of seemed like there may have been some tension there.
Oh wow.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of disappointed when I saw that the Young Bucks might turn bad because they're one of my favorite tag teams.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I try to watch AEW, but it just doesn't happen.
Only so many hours in a day. Yeah.
I normally just try and watch the highlights on YouTube or something.
Yeah. That's a good way to do it. I mean, I've been trying to watch all of AEW and NXT, and it hasn't been. Right now, I'm still watching NXT. I chose to watch AEW first, and now watching NXT. Read the results, so I know what happens. I like some of what they're doing in NXT. I like the way. I'm a fan of the Johnny Gargano, Austin Theory, Indy Hartwell, and of course Candice LeRae. I like that faction.
I don't follow too much NXT.
Well, but yeah, you're missing out on some great wrestling on NXT right now. So they are doing a really good job. That's where they develop a lot of stars. Like Keith Lee developed on NXT, and now, in my mind, is just an absolute superstar. Had a good night on Raw, him and Sheamus teaming together against Miz and Morrison, and then facing each other afterwards.
Yeah, that match that he did with Drew McIntyre, that was something.
Right.
And then, what about Triple H, man? Coming back to fight Randy Orton for that one night?
That was really cool. And you knew that was because they wanted to have a big main event. It was supposed to be Drew McIntyre defending the WWE Championship against Randy Orton on Monday Night Raw. But, of course, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that because news earlier in the day on Monday, it was announced Drew McIntyre had tested positive for COVID-19. And again, this is proof to those of you out there, the conspiracy theorists, this is real, and anybody can get it. Our president once upon a time got it. Now our WWE champion. I mean, athletes have tested positive. I shudder to think in a couple of weeks we're going to play a Super Bowl. I really, really, really hope. And I hope I'm not putting a bad vibe out there by talking about this. But how terrible would it be if one of the key players in one of the Super Bowl teams, like I said, I don't even really want to even say it out loud just because of the bad vibes.
But the two teams that make it to the Super Bowl, they need to just put them in a bubble until they play.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I haven't heard anybody talk about it. The usual media day, I imagine, will not happen.
Yeah, because
It just wouldn't.
look at the NBA season already. Like, how many teams have gotten it already? Like, it's ridiculous. The Sixers were
Yeah,
playing.
and the treatment of some teams versus some other teams kind of makes you question, maybe the favoritism that goes on in the NBA.
I mean, I still can't believe the Sixers were playing with 6 people.
Yeah, they had to dress an injured Michael Scott to keep from forfeiting the game because the NBA refused to move it, which is an absolute joke. And Adam Silver should be forced to step down as commissioner. He's such a freaking joke.
I don't know how legit this YouTube video was that I saw, because that's where I first heard about Drew McIntyre having the virus. And then I thought maybe it was just like a made-up video because they said that he was supposed to vacate the title and that Goldberg was supposed to wrestle some unknown guy with a Royal Rumble. And I'm like, oh, really? Like,
I've not heard that. I've heard Drew McIntyre will be at the Royal Rumble. He will be defending the WWE Championship against Goldberg.
Good.
He's symptom free. I don't know how they could be mad at Drew McIntyre for getting the virus. That's one of the things. And let me just say, I don't want a soapbox here, but man, the way being shamed, like almost forgetting, like it makes you feel like if you get the virus, you've done something wrong. Look, this is a virus. You didn't, like Drew McIntyre didn't ask to get COVID-19. He didn't go out there and party and like. It finds its way to you, and it sucks, but that's what happened. And, I think it stinks that anybody, portrays that. Drew McIntyre, for all accounts, has done everything right. This has been a year that Drew McIntyre has put this company on his back and carried it through the worst time imaginable. And really, not only just the company of WWE, but pro wrestling and hell, for a while, sports as a whole. Like sports stopped. Everything shut down except for pro wrestling. Yeah. And who was the guy who went on the biggest show in the craziest year and main evented that show? It was Drew McIntyre. And with everything he's done for the company, if the company's mad at him, then shame on them.
Yeah. I'm excited for. I still don't get why they're doing Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg. Like after that last match that Goldberg had, that was just awful.
That's what you mean with the Undertaker. Yeah. Well, he had the match. He had the match with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. I don't see why Goldberg keeps parading himself out there. Like, the storyline that they did, the Goldberg coming out there and saying that Drew McIntyre doesn't respect the legends. Like, there is nothing in anything that Drew has done that would suggest that there's any truth to that.
Yeah. He's trying to make Drew McIntyre the heel, but it's going to be hard to do because everybody loves Drew McIntyre right now.
Yeah, and he hasn't been playing a heel, and it's not like he did anything heelish. There's no reason why Drew should be getting booed by the crowd, and he's not being booed. But, Drew's the babyface in this. To me, Goldberg looks like the outsider coming in and just trying to leech off of Drew McIntyre's, the role that he's been on.
I did hear that. So at the end of that Triple H match that he had with Randy Orton, how he disappeared. I heard that the Fiend kidnapped him and is going to brainwash him and have him do his dirty work against Randy Orton.
interesting.
That would be actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, sure, they could do something like that. But I don't know. I don't know what their plan is. I'm assuming their plan is Randy Orton enters the Royal Rumble, maybe early on, gets on a roll, and is eliminating some guys and looking like a strong favorite. And then all of a sudden, the Fiend's music, you get the lights go out and the Fiend shows up and eliminates Randy Orton.
I heard that there's going to be a couple people coming back at the Royal Rumble too.
Well, I know the one that everybody's been speculating on for a long time has been Edge.
Yeah. Which, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah. That'd be great. 2 straight years we get Edge as a surprise entrance to, make a big comeback. This year, maybe not quite as emotional as last year, but still going to be a big deal.
Let's do your top 5 people that you would like to see as surprise entrance.
Okay. Well, I mean, Edge, I almost don't even know if I'd count him as a surprise entrance. It's been getting out so much that he's going to be there. But I'll give you Triple H. I would love to see him, show up at the Royal Rumble. Maybe even as part of the storyline of what you're talking about. Maybe he goes after Randy Orton and, and it's just focused on eliminating Orton.
Mm-hmm.
So Triple H, John Cena. I would love to see him show up as a surprise entrant. This one I don't think we're going to get, although, God, I would lose my mind. I would go bonkers. CM Punk.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely lose my mind. If I hear Cult of Personality come on and I see CM Punk show up, to me, I would almost feel bad because I know it's not going to be in front of a full capacity crowd because they would blow the roof off the arena if CM Punk showed up as a surprise entrant.
Yeah. That would be... That's right. They're not having fans, are they?
They haven't said anything. I know at one point they were trying to.
Oh, really?
But they haven't said whether or not. I know Florida, they've got their own rules down there. At one point, they were ready to let full crowds into stadiums. They were going to let, if you remember, the coach of the University of Florida wanted them to pack the swamp when the governor said they were allowed to do it. It was September or October. And, he got widely criticized for saying that. And then, of course, he gets COVID that week.
Hmm. Yeah. Florida needs to not encourage that stuff because they're going to make everything worse.
Yeah, definitely. Is there any surprise entrance, maybe guys that I didn't mention, that you would like to see a surprise entrance?
I was just thinking about that. Okay, who's been missing? I don't know who's been missing. Let's see who could.
Well, I mean, like I said, the Edge one, that's everybody's popular choice.
Yeah.
John Cena, I still say Triple H. I mean, you could go something like the Big Show. He hasn't really been around much, but he was just at Legends Night.
What about the? I know neither one of us wants him to come back, but the
I was just about to say him.
Yeah, I can see him back.
Yeah, and that would be cool. If all of a sudden, you get a late entrant of, Brock Lesnar showing up. That would be cool.
Come back and not be a Paul Heyman guy. Come back and go against Paul Heyman.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar wins the Royal Rumble and then headlines against Roman Reigns, the Universal title, and goes right after Paul Heyman's guy.
Speaking of Roman Reigns, I heard that they're trying to start a new faction with him, where it's going to be the Uso brothers, Tamina Snuka, and Nia Jax.
I could see it. It would be the Bloodline. Yeah.
That's what they said. That he's trying to make like an all Samoan faction.
I could certainly see that. And look, to me, that would only fuel the fire of a potential matchup between him and The Rock.
Yeah.
If The Rock shows up and it's just like he sees his whole family there, and it's like, wait, Roman says he's the head of the table. I set the damn table.
Rock, I've seen a lot of like tweets and stuff from The Rock saying he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I think that would be a hell of a match.
It would be big money, and it would be something he'd really be helping out his cousin by going in there and doing the favors for him.
But if they're going to do it, they got to do it soon because
yeah,
younger.
Yeah, and it starts to lose its meaning after a while.
Because he can't perform like he used to.
Right.
Like, I was surprised with how good Triple H was on Monday night.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. I feel like if you wake him up on any random day and just say, hey, Triple H, you're going to be in a match tonight, he can just figure it out on the fly.
Because, he stays in shape. That guy is.
Yeah.
Him and The Rock, man, they're like The Rock's a beast.
And that's the thing. And that's part of why I think, like, a Rock Roman Reigns match could still work right now. Yeah. Because The Rock is in such good shape. And that muscle memory of, when you train to do this job and, you were working for 300 days a year, like, you don't forget how to do that.
Right.
And I think that The Rock would get in there and he'd pick up right where, like he'd never missed a day. Just like when he fought John Cena.
It's funny, I saw a YouTube video of a guy that was trying to live a life kind of like The Rock's with the same hours he gets up and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He did it for like a week and was like, I'm done.
Well, yeah, I mean, you also have to understand The Rock, like, he doesn't have to go to work. Like, he does his movies or whatever he's doing these days.
He gets, I saw he gets up at like 4:00 in the morning, works out, he has like 6 meals a day. I'm like, damn.
No, I mean, I'm there with him getting up at 4:00 in the morning.
But
he ain't got nothing on me. But I don't work out at all.
I cannot imagine working out at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah. Look, when that alarm clock goes off, it's hard for me to imagine doing anything at 4:00 in the morning, let alone working out.
At least you get home by 2.
Well, I mean, I leave work at 2. I'm not home at 2.
Home by 3.
Yeah.
Take a nap.
Sometimes, most of the time not though. Most of the time it's, I gotta make my lunch for the next day. Normally have a very important, job sitting on the throne for a little bit when I first get home. Yeah, a little insight into my after work routine for everybody.
So, potential winners for Royal Rumble.
It's funny, normally, like I've been saying, around this time I start to narrow it down and think about who would make sense. I mean, I guess Sheamus is an obvious answer because it would lead to the Sheamus Drew McIntyre match.
I can see him turning on Drew McIntyre eventually.
I personally would like to see someone from SmackDown win it. And here's my thought on the reason why. I'm thinking in the Drew McIntyre Goldberg match, at some point, like Goldberg hits him with a couple spears, maybe a jackhammer, and that's when you see Miz and Morrison come out, maybe whack Goldberg with a chair, cash in the Money in the Bank, and beat Drew McIntyre for the championship, and it could set up Miz and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania for the championship.
All right.
And I personally would enjoy it. I think The Miz deserves that main event spot. I know a lot of people would say otherwise, but I'd be all in favor of it.
I think I would like to see AJ Styles Drew McIntyre personally.
Sure. Well, my only reason why I don't think we'll get that is we just had that at TLC. So I don't think we'll get that again at WrestleMania.
Yeah, or I'm trying to think who else.
So who I'd like to see win the Royal Rumble, Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns for the Universal title at WrestleMania. I think that would be a phenomenal match.
See, I can't get too excited about anybody wrestling Roman Reigns right now because I know that Jey Uso is probably going to interfere.
Sure. They could do something like have Daniel Bryan face Jey Uso, and if Daniel Bryan beats him, then Jey Uso's barred from ringside.
But then, yeah, Jimmy is supposed to come back.
Well, and you could then do that. If Jimmy Uso's ready to come back, he could come back and interfere in the match. And it could be a whole sequence of Daniel Bryan chasing even a little longer and maybe winning the Universal title, not at WrestleMania, but at maybe Money in the Bank or Backlash, something like that.
Yeah, or what they could do is have Daniel Bryan wrestle Jey Uso, and if he wins, wrestle Jimmy Uso, and then if he wins, then they're both barred from ringside, and then he wrestles Roman Reigns.
Sure, you could do that too.
Like he did at the WrestleMania when he wrestled Triple H, and then beat Randy Orton and Batista. Or no?
Yeah, you're right. WrestleMania 30. But I mean, you could do that in the weeks building up to WrestleMania. It'd be, okay, he faces Jey Uso tonight. If he beats Jey Uso, then Jey's banned from ringside at WrestleMania. And then, he faces Jimmy Uso. And if he beats Jimmy, Jimmy's banned from ringside. They did that with CM Punk and Randy Orton when they fought at WrestleMania. Was it 27? And
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when CM Punk was running the new Nexus, and Randy Orton had to face everybody in the new Nexus, and as he beat them, they got banned from ringside for WrestleMania. And of course, then he'd also punt them in the skull afterwards.
That original Nexus, man.
I know, that was badass. I still remember, and I hate to when John Cena was facing The Rock for the championship at WrestleMania 29, and there was a hot rumor that John Cena was turning heel that night. I wanted so bad. I believe Wade Barrett was scheduled there at that WrestleMania. I wanted him to all of a sudden kind of show up at ringside during Cena Rock match, and sort of a la McMahon during Austin and The Rock at WrestleMania 17, where it's you don't know why he's there. He doesn't have any affiliation with either guy, and he helps John Cena win. And so it's they're reforming the Nexus, and this time John Cena as a willing participant.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been freaking cool.
But it's funny because once John Cena went babyface, they never wanted him to go back.
I know.
And
John Cena, apparently at one point, they presented John Cena with the idea that they were going to turn him heel. And as soon as he did, they started cutting new music, ready to turn him heel. And he was so excited for it. But he said, well, what's the babyface? Who's the babyface I'm going against? Because there has to be somebody on that level that he can compete with that's a babyface, or that he could push to that level.
Yeah, and it really wasn't.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's why that didn't work.
John Cena was probably one of the best baby faces ever. His whole never give up slogan. I mean, that was just brilliant. But he also played a really good heel. Just like
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton, I think plays an okay babyface, but he plays a perfect heel.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And same thing with like Triple H and stuff too. Like Triple H played a pretty good babyface, but he's a natural heel.
Yeah, and I would agree with that as well. Look, and he did some remarkable things as a babyface, had some great matches as a babyface, but his natural element is being a heel. Like you can just tell, and there's so much more freedom in being a heel.
Yeah.
Like you can do so you don't have to just stick with the rah rah. I'm gonna try my best and never give up. Like that pure, they call that the white baby face, and that works for some guys. It worked. Hell, Ricky Steamboat ran his whole career being that white baby face.
Yeah, and then it's like the Undertaker. He was a heel with the Ministry of Darkness, but then he was pretty much like a baby face-ish kind of guy the rest of the time.
Well, when he started, he actually debuted as a heel.
Really?
Yeah, Survivor Series 1990, he debuted as a heel. He was part of the Million Dollar Man's group.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he teamed with the $1 Million Man and his team at the Survivor Series 1990, and he feuded with Hulk Hogan in '91, won the WWE Championship, didn't turn babyface until I want to say around Royal Rumble 2000 or '92, excuse me. And that's when, but really from that moment on until like the Ministry of Darkness days, even he had a brief run as a heel in the American Badass days.
Oh yeah. When, right when he like cut his hair really short.
Right.
God, yeah, I forgot about that one.
And he made Jim Ross kiss Vince McMahon's ass.
Oh yeah, that was funny. And then.
Yeah, I'd probably be one of the few people who actually got a real kick out of the whole Vince McMahon kiss my ass club.
Yeah, that was funny. Do you remember when he tried to do it to what was it, Trish Stratus? I think he tried to do it.
Yeah,
I was like, wow.
He did try to make Trish do it. The Stone Cold Steve Austin one, I think everybody knew what was happening there. It was going to be a low blow and then a stunner.
Yeah.
But yeah, good times. The Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club. Gotta love when we can mention that on the show.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, the stuff they had back then doesn't even compare. Like the stuff
today doesn't compare at all to back then.
Yeah, like it's so vanilla today. Like,
well, some of this right now, I think, is that they're limited in what they can do backstage and stuff. But I feel like they could do so much more. Like, I'll tell you, one of the storylines, we haven't talked about it yet tonight, and we haven't talked about it really at all in any of our shows. I'm really digging the Charlotte and Lacey Evans story developing. Lacey Evans basically was flirting with Ric Flair during Legends Night, and now all of a sudden that's a story where Ric Flair's with Lacey Evans. But I mean, as far fetched as it is, because he's he's a dirty old man. He's 71 or 72 years old. But
he's gotta be old. Yeah.
No, he's 72. Yeah,
really?
That's what he is. Yeah. But it really plays well because Lacey Evans, I feel like it fits. It gives a great story for a reason, for a personal feud between Lacey and Charlotte. And you can tell a great story there in that.
Yeah. I'm going to check that out because it does sound pretty interesting. But, like, even when they come back full swing, they got to amp it up because, like, for instance, like back in the day when you had like the Radar Superstar with Lita, and they had the mattress in the middle of the ring.
Right.
Like they had so much like stuff that
So
they.
much edgier content, and that's what they need. They need some edgier content.
It's like, where have they? Is it because it's just a family-oriented show now, or what? But
I'm sure that's part of it.
you got to have a little bit of edgy content, because if not, you're gonna lose. Like, because AEW, from what I've seen, they're putting on some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, and like they've got some stuff. They got some stuff in the works, like you got to believe the Kip Sabian Penelope Ford wedding that they had planned for the first week of February. Like I gotta believe something big's happening that night because wrestling weddings always go crazy.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's one thing that WWE hasn't had lately either. Like they had.
I'm hoping they do something like that with Ric Flair, Charlotte, and Lacey Evans, where like Ric Flair's gonna marry Lacey Evans or something. I hope they don't just make the story go away.
Yeah. What the hell was I gonna say? Even NXT, like even their stuff is a little bit more edgy than Raw or SmackDown. It's like,
Yeah, and look, NXT is meant for the more hardcore fan. It's something that it started on the network. So a lot of people, and I think a lot of people still watch it almost exclusively on the network.
yeah,
You can. I mean, obviously you watch it on USA, but it's one of the things that becomes available on the network right away, as opposed to Raw and SmackDown. Normally, it's like a month before an episode gets on there.
mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I really feel like NXT is meant for like the hardcore fans, and I'm waiting for them to do some edgier things. You've got the way that like I think they've become one of the better groups in wrestling, like definitely wrestling today, because like there aren't many WWE groups.
No.
And
They gotta look at what they did in the past and try and figure out some way to get back to some of it, because
yeah,
the factions, the edgier stuff, like having like like I think the last wedding WWE had was Lana and Rusev, I think.
or Lana and Lashley.
That's it. Yeah, Lana and Lashley. I forgot about that one. But it's like,
It was an easy one to forget about. Like having
yeah,
Liv Morgan come out and talking about her and Lana having an affair, which what a visual for every fan.
yeah.
But
But like it doesn't compare to like when Triple H came out and said he married Stephanie.
hey, or even when Kane tombstoned a priest at Edge and Lita's wedding.
Yeah, and then claimed that Lita was pregnant by King and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think they had one storyline where the one chick was pregnant.
Yeah. Who was it that was claiming? Oh, well, was it Maria Kanellis?
Yeah, which I don't think she was really in a storyline, was she?
Yeah, no, she was in the storyline because she was a 24/7 champion while pregnant.
Oh yeah.
And
Right.
that was hilarious. Everything was like, I'm doing this while pregnant. And it's like Tom Brady, yeah, greatest quarterback of all time. Did he win any of his championships while pregnant? No. Like,
Yeah.
oh God. Like, it was funny. Like I was entertained by that, but like, yeah, they're not doing a whole lot of the entertaining storylines. They're not doing the romantic storylines. I think in part because fans today know so much more about the superstars than they did in the past. Like kayfabe was a real thing. Like heels did not travel with baby faces back in the day. Like, and if you were a couple, that was kept hush hush.
Yeah.
Like people didn't know that. Like you wouldn't know Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch were a couple. You wouldn't know that Naomi and Jimmy Uso are married. Like, so that they could then do those stories. Like, they could do a storyline where Naomi was in a romantic storyline with somebody, but everybody would see right through it right now. Everyone's like, what? Like, it would be so obvious that it's a story unless you involve Jimmy Uso in the story.
Yeah. That's what I liked it when you had Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, the power couple. That was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And you noticed, like, even when they fought Corbin and Lacey Evans, it wasn't like either one of, like, they didn't pretend like they were a couple.
Yeah.
And that was mainly because, like, everybody could see through it. Everybody knew, like, although I don't know, I guess Lacey Evans isn't married. I thought she was, but I haven't seen her, like,
I'm not sure.
it's becoming, like, I think less, I don't know. I don't think now that, like, maybe I was wrong in that assumption because they brought her daughter out. And hey, look, I apologize if it comes across that, in any kind of way, me just assuming when she started coming out and, like, having her daughter in the crowd a few times that meant she was married. She may not be. I don't know. Hey, it's 2020 or 2021 now. Who knows? Yeah. But they're actually using her in a romantic storyline, which would suggest to me maybe that, like, maybe she's not married. And again, whatever, her life. No judgment here.
No.
But I enjoy it. Like, that makes me think of stories of old. It makes me think of, if you remember, Tori Wilson and Dawn Marie, when Dawn Marie dated Tori's father. Well, the fictional character that was supposed to be her father.
I remember that.
Which turned out to be one of the hottest storylines ever.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. That hotel room at Armageddon, like, that was, fantastic.
That's what I mean. Like, whoever was writing those stories back in the day, they need to bring that person back.
Right?
Like, just all the creative idea, like the creative team they had back in, like, the Attitude Era and a little bit after that was just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, think about it, that was 2002. So the Attitude Era, like, a lot of those writers were the same writers that wrote during the Attitude Era.
Yeah, because, like, the whole not knowing who was behind the Ministry of Darkness, that was, like, amazing. Like,
the higher power, yeah. And even though it turned out to be Vince McMahon, and it was like, okay, that kind of seems obvious, but there was still excitement about that.
Yeah. Because, he put his own daughter, like, as a captive and stuff, and it's like,
yeah,
that was, oh, man.
I know. It was a fun time to be a wrestling fan. Hopefully, they have some good ideas and can get things going again. I really think that the biggest thing they're waiting for is to get the crowd back. And so, like, as much as you can get, interactions on, like, Twitter or any kind of social media, until you get a crowd in there and you can really see how they're reacting to the superstars and what they're doing, like, it's hard to really judge whether anything's over or not.
True. Well, hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I'm still, like, now my fingers are crossed that, they're able to have partial attendance at WrestleMania. Their plan is to have it at Raymond James Stadium, I believe, and to have some crowd there. Don't know how much. I'm sure it'll be socially distanced and, much like the way AEW's had their shows for a while now.
Yeah, hopefully. I can't wait to go back to another wrestling event.
I know. First time that either WWE or AEW come to Philadelphia post-pandemic. We're going.
Sounds good.
All right. On that note, everybody, want to keep encouraging everybody. Stay safe. So hopefully we can, Joe and I can get to one of those wrestling shows sometime soon. And, I don't know about you, but as soon as I'm eligible to get the vaccine, I'm gonna get it because it's the right thing to do. I'm gonna do my part to try and get that herd immunity so we can get past this crap.
Yeah, I'm still weighing the options.
Sure. I mean, I don't blame anybody, but I'm just saying my plan is I'm going to be part of the group that goes out there and gets the vaccination. And now I may try to wait a little bit because I had COVID recently. And so apparently one of the things is if you had it recently, had a mild case, you maybe don't need to go get the vaccination right away and maybe save it for, some people who haven't had it and that need to get the vaccine right away. So I'm certainly on board with that. I'll follow any recommendations my doctor gives me as far as when I should. But everybody, stay safe. Have a great night. Enjoy the weekend, and we will see everybody back here next week. Hopefully, if your job continues to allow it, hopefully we can continue these early starts.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So, everybody stay safe and happy wrestling.
Happy wrestling.